First, I have a question for you. Do you know what Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, Jack Ma, and Vera Wang have in common? Well, they all failed multiple times in their career, but they never gave up. And that's why they are where they are today. Hey bestie, and welcome to a new Tea Talk with Adama where we discuss mindset, business, and everything in between. I upload a new podcast every Wednesday and a Tea Talk every Thursday, so make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss anything. Today's video is going to be a pep talk because I feel like you need it. I will tell you basically what you can do when you feel like giving up. So grab your favorite drink, sit back, relax, and let's spill the tea. First, I have a question for you. Do you know what Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, Jack Ma, and Vera Wang have in common? Well, they all failed multiple times in their career, but they never gave up. And that's why they are where they are today. If you didn't know, Michael Jordan was kicked out from his high school's basketball team before he became one of the greatest basketball players in history. He even wrote a book called Failure Wall, where he says that he has missed more than 9,000 shots in his career. Jack Ma, who is one of the richest men in the world thanks to his company Alibaba, applied and got rejected to multiple top universities such as Harvard. Oprah Winfrey was fired at age 23 from her first anchor job, and then she has failed multiple times in her career before she became the famous host, motivational speaker, and TV producer we know today. And Vera Wang left her job at Ralph Lauren to found her own company at age 40. So as you can see, all these people experienced multiple failures in their lives before they finally experience huge success. And there are so many stories like this, but I wanted to share a few with you so that you realize that success is not linear. You cannot become successful from one day to another if you haven't experienced any failure in your life. And remember what I said, the common point between these personalities is that they never gave up. So if you feel like giving up today, I have 3 questions for you to consider first. First of all, do you want to give up because it's no longer what you want or because it's harder than you thought? And this is a hard one because whenever I feel like things are getting tough and I'm like, okay, this is too much, I don't want to do it anymore, I always ask myself, so you want to give up because it's hard or is it because you don't want it anymore? And so if you feel like it's still something you want, but it's just hard right now, you have to remind yourself that this situation, no matter how much it sucks, is only temporary. Another thing is, if it was so easy, for example, if building a successful business was so easy, everybody would do it, right? Because when you look at polls asking people if they had the chance to be an entrepreneur or work a 9 to 5, you will have 80% of the people actually saying that they would love to be an entrepreneur. But out of these 80%, how many would actually take the leap? And the answer is only a few of them because everybody knows that it's not that easy. So when things get tough, it just means that you are taking a different path that a lot of people are not choosing. And that's something I talked about last week in a video where I shared 6 lessons that I've learned as an entrepreneur, and I will link it somewhere here so that you can watch it as well. So when it gets hard, keep pushing, because you might be so close to actually having a breakthrough. Second question, do you want to quit because things are not happening in your own timing? And this one is related to how hard we can be on ourselves when we set some goals and some deadlines and we don't achieve them on time, according to us. And so you have to remember that there's your timing and then there's the timing when things are supposed to happen in your life. So it doesn't matter how much you want to actually get things done at a certain age or at a certain time, you cannot control that. And you have to be open to actually having to work a little bit longer on your dreams. And this doesn't mean that they will never happen or come true. You have to consider the stage you are currently in as a learning and preparation phase so that you will be mentally ready when you hit this 5, 6 or 7-figure business. Because if it were to happen today, but you are not in a mental state where you would be able to handle that, it's super easy to sabotage all of that and to come back to square one. So don't worry, you are not late. Even if you are in your late 20s, 30s or 40s, whatever it is, you are not late. You will never miss on things which are meant to be yours. All you have to do is to keep working towards them and trust the process. Last question I want you to consider before you quit is, do you want to give up because you are not aligned with this particular thing anymore? So for example, if it is your business that you want to give up, is it because you don't feel aligned with it anymore? In that case, I encourage you to have a deep conversation with yourself to understand, how do you feel about your business and which part of your business do you feel misaligned with? Because sometimes it might be things that you just have to tweak. If you feel misaligned because of the people that you are attracting, the client that you are attracting, or because of your pricing, or you simply don't want to offer this particular service or product, then you have to be clear on what it is that you don't want anymore, to see if you have to throw this business entirely to a bin and start over doing something else, finding a job or starting a new business, or if you can actually get rid of the stuff that you don't feel aligned with and get more of the things that will make you feel aligned and happy. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments below what are your thoughts so far. So if you are still not sure what you can quit on or not, I want to share with you now 4 things that you are allowed to quit on. First off, you are allowed to quit a job. And honestly, I can be an ambassador for that because I've quit 3 jobs so far in my career. And I always have friends who come to me when they feel like it's time for them to quit, to get some encouragement and to ask me how I felt like, if I had any regrets, and how I actually came upon explaining why I quit my job when I was going through interviews for a new job. And what I can tell you so far is that I never had any single regret. Every time I took the decision to write my resignation letter and give it up to HR and my manager, I always felt relieved, because every time I quit, it was because I wasn't valued, I was underpaid, and or I was working in a toxic environment which had a huge impact on my mental health. So every time I was quitting a job, basically what I was saying to myself is that I choose me. Despite the circumstances, even though sometimes I didn't have another job lined up, I was still believing in myself and believing that I was worth more than this paycheck or the way that I was treated in this particular working environment. So yes, if a job is underpaying you, taking you for granted, or if it is harmful for your well-being and your mental health, I would always encourage you to seek a way out and to quit and find someplace else where you will feel more happy, because in the end, I don't believe that we are on this earth just to suffer for somebody else's gain. So yes, definitely do it if that feels aligned with you. The second thing you can quit on, especially if you are a business owner, is a strategy. So you will have a lot of marketing experts, including myself, teaching you about specific strategies or social media you should use. If it doesn't feel right for you, if it's not working for you, you can quit on a strategy. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. Just because it's working for someone else doesn't mean that it has to work for you. So don't feel bad when you try a strategy for a certain period of time and you realize that it's not working for you and that it doesn't bring any revenue. Then quit on it and do the things that are working for you. The third thing you can quit on is a hobby. As we grew up, we usually try different hobbies, and at some point it might feel like a burden and we don't want to do them anymore. And so if nowadays there's something that you used to like doing as a hobby, you don't have to keep doing it just because you have been doing it for 10 years. If you like playing soccer and you've been doing it for 10 years and suddenly you realize you don't like it anymore, you don't have to keep playing it just because it has been 10 years already, right? You can always quit on a hobby that you don't like anymore. It just means that you grew out of it, and since we are always evolving, it is okay. You will find something else to do as a hobby that will bring you more joy. And the last thing you can quit on is a business or business idea. So here again, I cannot really tell you at what point specifically you should quit on your business, because it will depend on you. It will depend on how long can you sustain your business. If, for example, it is a business that isn't profitable yet, So obviously you cannot sustain it for years if it doesn't bring any money. So here it will be up to you, and do not hesitate to seek advice to know if it is time to give up on a business or a business idea, because I want you to remember that a lot of entrepreneurs failed before they actually had a successful and profitable business. So it is not the end of the world, and it is always better to cut the losses sooner than later. Now, there's one thing that you should never, ever, under any circumstances, give up, and that is on yourself. So no matter how hard things get, I want you to always choose yourself. So if the reason why you want to give up is actually damaging to the potential that you have, or it is preventing you from having the business or life of your dreams, then please don't do it. I like to remind myself that we only have one shot at this. You are the one who has to live with yourself every single day. So if you give up on yourself now, it's gonna be tough for you in a couple of years to think about all the things that you could have achieved if only you kept believing in yourself and didn't give up. So I hope you got the message, bestie. Do not, under any circumstances, give up on yourself. Okay, let me know by giving me a thumbs up that you agree with that and that you are not going to give up on yourself. Now, to give you another perspective, because it's okay to feel like you want to give up sometimes. It's okay to feel tired. It's okay to feel, like you are not where you want to be yet, right? And it's human to feel like you are lagging behind when you see people achieving things in life or in their business that you want to achieve as well, but you are just not there yet, right? I'm not telling you that you should have this false positive mindset all the time, but once you get out of this depressive, I want to give up state, here's what I want you to remember. First off, when you try something new, when you want to launch a business and be successful at it, things are going to get worse before they get better. So you should be prepared for that, and do not expect to be excellent at everything you will do the first time. Remember the personalities we talked about earlier? If they gave up after their first failure, we wouldn't even know their names today. So you have to remember that things getting tough is part of the process. You're basically, outgrowing your current environment. Maybe you will start from scratch with no one to support you, and doing things for the first time is super hard all the time. But after this phase of learning and messing up and trying new things is over, you will start actually building on your progress, and things will start to fall into place and be better. So you have to be patient until you reach this stage. The second thing is that nobody will remember your failures but you. So again, the people I gave you as an example before, did you actually know about their failures? And I bet you didn't, because the thing is that we only see the tip of the iceberg. So we see somebody being wealthy, successful, and well-known, but we have no idea of how many times they have failed and how long it took them to get there. And so you should always remember that there were so many things happening beneath the surface, like self-doubt, wanting to quit, not being recognized, feeling like you are a failure all the time. I'm sure all of these people experience that. And actually, I like the fact that they tell their stories to inspire other people, so that you know that they are human too, and they have experienced pain and failure as well. As a matter of fact, they may still experience failure, but as I told you before, nobody would actually notice them. We only focus on the success that we currently have. The third thing, and I know it will sound cliche, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I will actually tweak it a little bit. So I would say what doesn't kill your ego makes you stronger. So the ego is not something bad, right? I don't want you to think that. Your ego is actually here to protect you and prevent you from experiencing pain. So your ego is doing its best to keep you safe. And so what happens when you experience failure or you get rejected, your ego gets bruised, and so it doesn't want to experience that again. So you may stop trying because you don't want to be rejected or fail again. When you start this cycle, you now live in a comfort zone where you don't take any risk, but you're also never happy with the outcome. So I want you to get used to actually get bruised and get punched back and forth by life, because that's the only way you will actually learn that rejection is not that bad, that it will not kill you, Same thing for failure, and that it is actually necessary for you in order to actually get stronger and get the things that you want in life. Because the things that you really want will not necessarily come easily to you. You actually have to work for it. So start getting used to it by accepting your first failures and rejections as lessons. The next thing I want you to remember is that you will feel unseen and maybe misunderstood, especially, for example, if you are an entrepreneur and you are trying to create content and nobody is seeing it yet and interacting with it. You still have to show up, because at some point people are going to notice you. If you feel like you have a voice, if you feel like you can help people, then your mission is to keep showing up until these people come across your content. So do not expect hundreds to come to you just because you posted something nice only once. You have to be repetitive and consistent with it until it is your moment. And if anything, girlfriend, I see you wanting to achieve your dream, to have a positive impact in the world, to have clients that you can help. So I see you and I'm rooting for you. And I do hope that even on those days when you don't feel your best, you still realize that there are people who need you right now to show up. And finally, if I had, let's say, one last advice that I want to give you, and it's always the same advice that I give to my friends and I try to remind myself as well, is that if you have been trying for months or years and you still feel like quitting, the last thing I want you to ask yourself is, what is the alternative? So let's say, okay, you've been working on your business for a while now. You've dreamed of being your own boss and working on your own terms for a long time. You realize that having a business would allow you to have this freedom lifestyle that you always dreamed about, right? But it's not working out yet and you feel tired. You feel like you have tried everything, so you want to give up. And honestly, as a new entrepreneur, this could happen to you like in your first 6 months or in your first year in business. So let's say you quit on your business. Now, what's next? What's the alternative? If you don't want to work for someone else anymore, well, you still have to pay bills, right? You still have to earn a living, to pay your rent and your groceries and everything you need to actually live. So you will have to find a 9-to-5, right? But you know that this is not what you want. So let's say, okay, you still get the job and now you are right back into this corporate cubicle. So you don't have a way out anymore, because the only way out that you saw before was building a successful business. And so you're back to working a 9-to-5 and maybe trying to save some money on the side and waiting until you retire to live your dream life. See, you don't feel right about this scenario, right? And so basically what happened to me when I wanted to give up after my first year in business, because I had some bad clients experiences, I was burnt out, I didn't have the lifestyle that I wanted yet, even though I managed to pay my bills. And so basically when you want to give up on something that is so huge and so important for you, you actually have to make an exit plan. For example, the easiest things would be to, shut down my social media account and then cancel all the subscriptions for the software that I use to run my business. So that's the easy part, right? But then the next part is hard, because it would mean going back to working a job that I didn't really love for the next 40 plus years and giving up on the lifestyle that I wanted and I knew I could achieve. So basically, this would have meant unhappiness and misery for me. And so if for you going back to a 9-to-5 is no big deal and you finally find a job that you really loved after trying being an entrepreneur, then it's all good for you, and I'm happy for you. But if it's not the case, if you know that you are an entrepreneur at your core and that it is absolutely what you want to do, then there is no alternative, right? Because there is nothing that would give you the life that you want, like having this dream business of yours. And so whenever I start to think about an exit plan, this always brings things back into perspective. Because I know that for me, there is no alternative. Imagine if Oprah Winfrey, after she got fired from her first anchor job, she decided that, she wasn't good enough. She would just stick to some less prestigious jobs like street reporting and writing some stuff for TV. And she would not aspire for more, like she was done. If she had this mindset, she would have never had the show that made her so famous and loved by thousands of Americans. She wouldn't have shared her gift of listening and empathizing with people. And I think we would have missed on a huge inspiration. So that's just an example to tell you that if you know what your vision is, then you have to stay reassured that there is no alternative to your vision and that your vision will come true eventually, only if you don't give up. And so for me, for example, there's no alternative to what I'm doing right now. Honestly, when I was getting ready to shoot this video, I didn't have, the content planned out. I knew I wanted to talk about not giving up, and the content just came to me just before I started filming. So I just had the main ideas that I wanted to share with you today, because I know that you probably need to hear it. So even if I didn't feel like it and I procrastinated the entire day and I dreaded to actually get ready to film this video, I'm so happy that I did, because I know this will help you out. Let me know, by the way, in the comments if that resonated with you. I hope it did. And so that's all I wanted to share with you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with a friend who is on the verge of giving up, because that might give them the little push that they need in order to keep going. I can't wait to see you win. I will see you next week. Until then, take care. Bye bye.